Dividing radical expressions. Okay, to divide radical expressions, you're going to obviously have a numerator and a denominator. When you have radicals, you cannot have a radical in the denominator. For it to be in proper form, you need to have the denominator as the numerator, the radical as the numerator, and have no radical in the denominator. So a way that we do this is to rationalize the denominator. So it's a way of simplifying a quotient with a radical expression in the denominator by multiplying so that there is no radical. And we do this sometimes by using a conjugate. So a conjugate of, say, a plus b, the conjugate would be a minus b. So it's used to help cancel out variables. So if we are to simplify the radical expression 5 root 7 plus 3 over root 7, we cannot have a root 7 on the bottom. So to do this, to get rid of it, we're going to multiply by itself so that we're squaring it and getting rid of the square root sign. So we're going to multiply by root 7 on the bottom and on the top. When we do this, we distribute. So we should have 5 root 7 times root 7 plus 3 times root 7 over root 7 times root 7. This turns into root 7 times root 7 is just a plain old 7. So 5 times 7 plus 3 root 7. And root 7 times root 7 is 7. They cancel each other out. And 5 times 7 is 35, so 35 plus 3 root 7 over 7 is your simple reduced quotient. And now, because we can't simplify the fraction anymore, this is your final answer. For the next one, because on the bottom it's not as simple as it can go, we're going to simplify root 18 first. So root 18 breaks into 9 times 2, so 3 and 3, so we have 3 root 2. So we have 6 root 2 minus 4 root 3 over 3 root 2. To get rid of our root 2, we multiply both the top and the bottom by root 2. And of course we can do this because that's the same as multiplying by 1. So we're going to distribute. So we have 6 root 2 times root 2 minus 4 root 3 times root 2 over 3 root 2 times root 2. This will simplify. 6 times 1 is 6. Root 2 times root 2 is just a 2. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And root 3 times root 2 is root 6. On the bottom, we should have root 2 times root 2, which is 2. So 3 times 2. And I just wrote a 3 instead of a 2. Smart. Okay, now we're going to simplify. 6 times 2 is 12. Minus 4 root 6 over 3 times 2 is 6. Now, because these are all multiples of 2, we can simplify our fraction and divide everything by 2. So we have 6 minus 2 root 6 over 3, and that will be our final answer. Remember that when you simplify fractions, all of the coefficients have to be divisible by the same number. Otherwise, you can't do it. For this example, this is a little bit different because we have a binomial on the bottom and it's not just one radical. So to get rid of this, we have to multiply by the conjugate, which is the same thing but with the opposite sign. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate. So we're going to multiply this out. So 4 times 3 root 2 plus 4 times 4 plus 2 root 6 times 3 root 2 plus 2 root 6 times 4. So that's our top. Now on the bottom, we know that because this is a conjugate, it's a difference of squares. One's a plus, one's a minus. That's really what we're doing, is multiplying the difference of squares. So instead of multiplying the whole thing out, we know that we can go 3 root 2 squared minus 4 squared. So we're going to simplify from here. So we have 4 times 3 is 12, and just a root 2, so 12 root 2. 4 times 4 is 16. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 under the radical will be root 12. And 2 times 4 is 8, and then a root 6. So that's our top. On the bottom, we're going to have 3 squared times, this will cancel, 2 minus 4 squared, which is 16. Now we want to simplify all of our radicals. So root 12, 6 root 12, can simplify into 4 times 3, 2 times 2. So we have 2 times 6, root 3, which is 12 root 3. So we have 12 root 2 plus 16 plus 12 root 3 plus 8 root 6. And if you multiply out, 3 squared is 9, times 2 is 18, minus 16 is 2. Now our final step is to check if we can take out a common factor, which of course is 2. So the final answer, we're going to divide each of these by 2. So we have 6 root 2 plus 8 plus 6 root 3 plus 4 root 6. And that is as simple as it goes. So there's lots of steps, but you just keep breaking it down. And for the last example, we have a binomial on the bottom, so we have to multiply by the conjugate to get the difference of squares. So 3 root 2 minus 2 root 3, and we multiply the top and the bottom by this. Now we're going to distribute. So we have 2 root 3 times 3 root 2 plus 2 root 3 times negative 2 root 3 minus 4 root 6 times 3 root 2 minus 4 root 6 times negative 2 root 3. And on the bottom, we have a difference of squares, so 3 root 2 squared minus 2 root 3 squared. Except I put a 3 again. Oh my gosh. Now we're going to simplify. So we have 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 2 is root 6. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 3 and 3 is 9. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. 6 times 2 is root 12. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. And 6 times 3 is root 18. And this is all going to be over top of 3 squared times 2 minus 2 squared times 3. Remembering that this cancels out the radical sign. Now we need to simplify. So we're going to have to simplify 12 root 12. This breaks into 4 times 3. So we have 12 times 2 root 3. So 24 root 3. And 18 is going to be 8 root 18. Breaks into 9 and 2. So 8 times 3 root 2, which is 24 root 2. Not a lot of room. So we're going to plug these in. So we have 6 root 6 minus 4, and the root of 9 is 3, so 4 times 3, minus this simplified to be 24 root 3, and this simplified to be 24 root 2. And on the bottom, we have 3 squared, which is 9, times 2 is 18, and minus 2 squared, which is 4, times 3, which is 12. So 8 times 12, minus 12 is 6. Now we're going to, well, first off, we can see this 4 times 3. That's going to be a 12. Let's just change that right now. Now we can take out a common factor of 6. So we're going to divide everything, all of the coefficients, by 6. So we should get root 6 minus 2 minus 4 root 3 plus 4 root 2. And that is the simplest you can get for simplifying that quotient.